What I'm going to do is a brief 3-minute introduction to what BCSA is and does, and then get on to this Beyond Oil. The title started as Awakening the Future, then I changed it to Imagining the Future. So I'll just jump right in, because it's big topic. The BCSCA, we look at the world and see huge problems being caused by our unsustainable use of energy, whether it's peak oil, climate change, oil spills, Iraq oil tar sands, traffic congestion, whatever. And we know that there's a climate emergency, and that the fundamental solution is 100% renewable energy. That's where we got to get, and stop burning all coal, all oil, all gas, and also stop eating most meat. That's another topic, not for tonight. Our vision is a sustainable British Columbia, which all of our energy is green and renewable. We do a lot of advocacy. Our policy committees in and out of the ministers' offices, trying to get their attention, going to the BC Utilities Commission, trying to get the best policies enacted, trying to eliminate the worst ones. We now have a new situation with a Minister of Energy who's a formal admitted climate denier, which is going to be interesting for us, Bill Bennett. We do budget submissions, we go to the BCUC. We do our best to get the government attention. Not always easy, we try. Our Solar BC program has been building BC's solar thermal industry, supporting 33 solar communities around the province. We'd also help to get textbooks about solar into schools so that kids are learning. When they get the solar on the school, they can learn how it works, how the maths works, how the sun works, all that kind of stuff. Our Green Condos project is working with the City of Vancouver to help make condo owners make their buildings more energy efficient, which means getting it through the Strata Council and all the complex politics of that. Our chapters around the province organise events and activities like this. So the Okanagan chapter recently hosted a public evening on the Penticton Indian Band's Passive House. Our Vancouver chapter had a public evening on the future of wind energy. Our Victoria chapter did a public event in the summer on an electric vehicle showcase with all the different cars and bicycles, and you could try them out. Our Kamloops chapter has the solar laundry project. There we go, have a closer look. There we are, chatting away on television. Who's that? Who's that?
Rob.
That's Rob, right? Where's Rob? Hey Rob, there you are. Our climate and energy solutions webinars, we do Tuesday lunchtime every month. They're free, and this coming Tuesday, we've actually snagged Mark Jacobson from Stanford University, who's one of the world's top experts on how entire nations can move to 100% renewable energy. So the sign-up is on the front page of the BCSCA website. It's free at your computer next Tuesday at 12 noon. Our Climate Change Showdown, which was developed by people here in Kamloops, and then taken to Vancouver and developed, has since reached, this is a year old, 58,000 grade 5 and 6 students. So out of the creativity of people in the Kamloops chapter early days, this exercise, this activity we go into schools with, that many kids learn about climate change, learn about the solutions with very inventive ways, and then go home and challenge each other to use less energy, to reduce their climate impact, and we have contests and prizes and all that sort of stuff. So that's the one tiny germ of inspiration in the Kamloops chapter led to that. So how do we change the world? By working for a host of practical changes. More energy conservation. Switch off the lights when you leave the room. Don't leave the computer on at night. More wind energy, more solar energy, more ocean power, I can't say more geothermal power, we don't have any, but geothermal power. We could have, but we don't yet.
Some rivers. Some rivers.
That's right. More solar hot water, more green buildings, more energy efficient buildings that don't leak heat. That's leaking heat, and that's not, right? More district heat systems, more public transit, more cycling and electric bicycles. I'll come to all this later on. More cargo bikes, more electric vehicles, more car sharing, more sustainable food and farming, a smart grid, and smart green economics, because our Earth is not a negative. Any economist here before I insult them? Economics thinks the whole Earth is an externality. Well, think about it later. It's not on our equations, right? So that's got to be changed. And together we believe we can change the world. So if you're feeling inspired, we'd love you to join as members, because our core of our income is our memberships. And there's the bcsca.org/join, or if the form going round, just tick the box, like it, become a member, and we can send you the details. So now we get on to the main event. There are lots of seats up here, and you just turn the seat round and face the screen, right?
Thank you.
So change your chairs now, Carolyn.
Do you want to dim the light a bit?
How is the screen doing for that? Do we need lights dimmed?
It's the front row.
Not for me.
It's fine. The miracles, if I move over a bit, without unplugging this up. Okay, so we're talking about Beyond Oil, and just to set the record straight, we are driving around in a camper van that is burning the same fuel that everyone else uses, and 200 million years ago, some sea creatures were happily doing their thing in the ocean. Oh hi, another sea creature. Let's get on. We'll have a little talk together, right? Then they die, and they get tectonic plate movement and heat and pressure and squashed, and then 200 million years later, along comes Chevron and Shell and oil, and dig them up. And that's what we put in our tanks. It's squashed up sea creatures, known as oil. It's from 200 million years old. So we know we have to go beyond this. So first question to all. This is a very participative evening, do you notice? On climate change, do you A, think it's a very serious looming crisis? Or B, are you confused, I'm not quite sure what to make of it? Or C, it's overblown, as climate's always been variable? Who thinks A, show of hands? Right? That's the majority. Who thinks B, I'm still not sure what to make of it? And anyone, and C, saying it's overblown? You think it's overblown?
Yes, I do.
Okay. There we go. Talk to you later.
I'll think outside now.
No, we need dialogue. We need that tension. And on doing transportation without fossil fuel oil. Do you in advance? Yes, I believe it is possible. B, I don't know if it's possible. C, no, it's not possible. Who's A? Yes, I believe it is possible. So. Who thinks? I don't know if it's possible yet. 1, 2, 3, 4. And who says no, it's not possible? Okay, no total heads in the sand. That's good, right? So before we get onto that, we've got to remember the past. We have 4 million years of walking experience. Genetically, we're designed. Actually, I think we're designed to run, and walking is a subset of running. And that's if you imagine that 4 million years as the distance from Victoria to Kamloops, call it 400 kilometers. The last 10,000 years is at 1 kilometer, so the last 100 years is 10 meters. So the time of burning oil, if you set off to walk to Vancouver now, the first 10 meters is the length of this room. The rest is all the time we had to walk. So that's how short a time we've had oil. Just to put it in context, right? Then in 1858, we discovered the first oil in Canada, not in America. They got it in 1859. Yep, we got there first. Textbooks always say it's somewhere in America. It's not true. Petrolia, what does the name tell you? And then we launched the motor vehicle age. I mean, hey ho, who can resist a little thing like this? Or this? Or this? Or this? Or this? Any goths among us? Look closely, you've got to take that one in, right? Or this? For the wedding night. Or this one, oops. They didn't have GPS with the San Francisco Hills, right? Can anyone honestly say they have not enjoyed speeding? They don't at some point enjoy speeding. Yes, really, all right, we've got some honest people here. And the consequences. And of course, it's all dependent on the mothership, right? Where does the oil come from? We forget about it. It's all coming from the mothership. And if you haven't got that, you're back to the horse. And so otherwise, I'm afraid this is what we get. I mean, when there's all of us want to drive, that's the reality, and it's not such fun anymore, and it gets to be a bit squashed and a bit like, oh my goodness, if these idiots would just take the bus, I could be home by now. And then there's that, of course, right? The other way to get home quicker. And, yeah. She jumps out of planes.
Did you get her permission?
Shh. And every time we do it, it's leaking carbon dioxide. That ancient carbon from the fish is stored 200 million years. We burn it, mixes with oxygen, CO2, traps heat. 100 million tons a day globally. Every second, 1,000 tons of carbon dioxide. Every second, another 1,000 tons accumulating in the atmosphere. So I wrote the book, The Climate Challenge, to systematically address all of the solutions to climate change for transportation, for industry, for farms, for colleges, for individuals, for churches, for businesses, in a very easy format. And we got copies at the door, so each solution is just 2 pages with websites and information, because I wanted to dispel this sense that it's a hopeless disaster and we can't do anything about it. So it's not just, as I'll show you, it's not just a set of solutions, it's a transformation of the way we live to a new sustainable way of living. That is the carbon emissions from New York City in one day, visualized in terms of the physics of carbon dioxide molecules, and that is 1 year for New York. The key thing we have to avoid is, the scientists have said, well, whatever we do, we don't get more than 2 degrees Celsius warmer. All of the current climate impacts are from 0.8 degrees Celsius warmer, which includes the Arctic going into effective total summer meltdown in about 2 years' time. It's going to be close this year, but by 2015 we'll have a period around this time in September when it's total ice melt. And then each year it'll be a week, and then 10 days, and then 2 weeks, and then 2.5 weeks. And by the mid-2040s, it'll be ice-free during the winter in the Arctic. And the last time the world was 3 degrees warmer, the sea level was 25 meters higher. Not inches, meters. And a study recently, just in August, said that there's a $1 trillion cost from floods by 2050 from all this stuff. And that is 25 meters, just to put this in perspective. It's more than an 8-story building. This is a map of Vancouver with a 1 meter sea level rise. All the blue areas are underwater. So there's the I-5, by the way, if you think you're going to America. There's the airport. This is under a 3 meter sea level rise. The whole of Richmond, Delta, Ladner, gone, right up towards Whistler. No, not right up towards there. This is a 20 meter sea level rise. Now this would never happen this century, but once you pass 2 degrees, it's very difficult to put the cat back in the bag. And you've got sea level rise, there's what's left of Vancouver, the island of Vancouver, as opposed to Vancouver Island. Right up to Hope, because this is floodplain, so it's basically flat. This is devastating, totally devastating to the web economy. This is the loss of the Arctic sea ice in volume, from 16,000 cubic kilometers down to 3,000, and then soon to 0. Because it's melting from below as the ocean warms. This is the trend of Arctic melting, heading towards, this is 0, at the apex of the mid-September date. This is the Arctic, the ice melting, and at the higher, the melting ice is causing a higher air pressure in the north, which is causing the jet stream to do funny stuff. So it's bringing colder air down or warmer air down, and there was a period about 4 years ago when the jet stream got locked in place over Russia and northern Pakistan, and Russia burnt, and all the wheat fields burnt, and they had no wheat to export. Ukraine lost 85% of its wheat supplies, and in northern Pakistan they had torrential floods, and the rain just stayed there and stayed there and stayed there. So more extreme weather events, like the Calgary one we just had. This kind of thing becomes normal under climate change. This kind of thing becomes normal. The cost of acting, this is if we were to act, this is the policy cost. This is trillions US dollars. So 2 trillion for the whole planet if we act on this. And that's the damages by 2010, by 2100, the total cost, and the total damages by 2200. And if we don't act on it, it's the right-hand side. So clearly this is a thing where you want to pay your equivalent of earthquake insurance for us in Vancouver. You want to pay your insurance against this stuff, which is climate action, climate policy, the city council level, provincial level, the Harper level, the global level. And 97 out of 100 experts, climate experts, agree that humans are causing climate change. There's a huge consensus, but in the media, 45% of people think there's, only 45 think there's consensus among the scientists. They think, the rest of the 55 think the scientists can't agree, but actually the scientists all agree, because the media doesn't give us the data. So can you read that at the back, or do you want me to call them out?
Call it out.
Call it out. The planet is experiencing record floods. This is our Times columnist, cartoonist. Record droughts, record Arctic ice melt, and record stupidity. So, climate change may be happening, but we're not the cause of it. We've got to have climate action, which means engagement. This is Vancouver. This is where I think the Granville Street Bridge, one of the bridges in Vancouver. And when we come to oil, this is the conventional oil supply. There's loads more, heavy oil, tar sands oil, stuff like that. When this was first drilled out of the ground, you needed 1 barrel of energy to get 100 barrels out. With the oil sands bitumen, 1 barrel of energy in gets you 3 barrels out. And it's getting less, or actually 2.7, it's getting less and less, because you've got to burn gas, you've got to dig it underground, you've got to process it. It gets tougher and tougher to get the energy in the first place until it becomes stupid, right? And so that's there's a tiny amount coming out of the tar sands. It doesn't get us out of a conventional oil dilemma either. So this is the northern boreal forest until the oil companies get to it, and then that's the transformation. So I'm quicker on this computer than last night, isn't it?
That's the tar sands.
Turns into the tar sands, yeah. That's the same landscape. That's what we're doing to nature to keep on driving with oil, instead of going to the alternatives, which I'm going to cover. Every red dot here is an oil spill in Alberta since 1975. So when they say, no, pipelines, no oil spills, lying through their teeth. Kurt Vonnegut, dear future generations, please accept our apologies. We were rolling drunk on petroleum. If we drill in the Arctic, there's 3 years oil supply in the Arctic, so we can carry on rolling drunk on petroleum 3 more years at the risk of having oil spills in the Arctic where the oil never biodegrades because it's cold. It's not cheap. It's a very expensive, addiction we have, and the solution coming up right now. So there are 3 numbers. Bill McKibben, who you can just make out here, who founded 350.org, and then did a talk this summer called Do the Math. So there's just 3 numbers you need to understand. First, 2 degrees Celsius, I've already covered. Second number, 565 gigatons of CO2. We can afford to release that much to get us to 2 degrees warming. More than that, we're in trouble. And the 795 gigatons that is the fossil fuel reserves of the oil, gas, and coal industry. This is their known reserves on which their share value is premised, not the unknown reserves they don't have yet. So we can only burn 1/5 of the known reserves. So those companies have to do something. They're going to, it's trouble coming up. To put this in visual terms, that's Portland, that's Vancouver. This is the global amount of carbon dioxide before the industrial age. For the whole, that's the natural biogenic CO2 we need in the atmosphere to keep us warm. That is how much we burnt. There's 2 seats over here. If you want to come and be seated. Yeah, be comfy. There's no wires to trip over. Yes, there's 1 wire to trip over, but the Great Green Transportation Tune-Up. You've come to the right place.
Oh, good.
There you go. Squeeze in and make sure you can see the. I'll move this over. There you go. Pull up against the wall and just don't. Okay. The red square is how much we've emitted since 1750 in terms of carbon dioxide emissions. That is how much more we can afford to emit before we cross the 2 degrees Celsius line. And that's how much is in waiting to be burnt in the official ownership structures of the fossil fuel companies, on which their share value is premised, which they want to burn. So we've got a problem. So the age of oil is the teeny weeny, ever so brief age of oil. Victoria's Secret does special. Look, in the past, the Neolithic era lasted 8,000 years. Ancient Egypt, 3,000 years. Roman Empire was 1,000 years. Era of oil is maybe 200 years. It says 100 there. It's tiny. It's a tiny slip of time. And what happens in the future? That's just 10,000 years future. But the sun does not start turning into a red dwarf for 1,000 million years. For 1 billion years before the sun starts turning into a red dwarf. So if we can get a handle on planetary management and stop doing nuclear and crazy stuff, we can have human civilization for another 1,000 million years. And there won't be no oil. So we know we're going to do something different. We're good at this stuff. We're smart, we're creative, we're intelligent. 1 billion years of future. So that's 100,000 periods of 10,000 years. So imagine the whole 10,000 years since the Neolithic, but 100,000 times over. That's our potential on this planet.
How far is it to Vancouver?
I haven't done that piece. This stunning potential we call the future. which is waiting us. So Einstein is saying, knowledge is limited, but our imagination can encircle the web. We need to imagine the future we want. And it's like, free up the imagination, let's go there, let's dream the future we want to see of, instead of just complaining about bad things. So, beyond oil, can we get there? Our vision is sustainable energy, that all our energy is sustainable. So, oil, total transport is 71% of the oil supply, cars and light trucks 40%, non-transport, industry, plastic, stuff like that, 29%. I'm fundamentally addressing the cars and light trucks pieces, and then I cover this a bit later. So, first thing is, if we take 100 imaginary trips, can we shift 5% of those to walking? Which involves, this is a map of Portland, where they've mapped the city, as you could do for Kamloops, where yellow is best accessibility. So this is all 20-minute walking distance to shops and stores and where you need to go, or transit stations. And down here it's like, forget it, you've got to have a car. So, just getting an understanding of how the city works. You can do a neighborhood walkability audit in a chosen neighborhood. When you actually, this is Dan Burden who has developed the process, you actually get a group of neighbors and you go and map the neighborhood for how convenient it is to walk, and for people in wheelchairs. And a lot of us looking around the room are getting on. I plan to live to 100, and I will be staggering around like this, And I want to have, there's no, what do you call those things when there's a curve? There you go. no curve break. Curve cut. So you can do an analysis of any neighborhood, like how friendly is it, and you can take that analysis to City Council. And you can get City Council to put it into their budgeting of what it costs to improve that and make it walkable over a 5-year period. And and they say, no, there's no money, take the money out of the highways budget, so that we're sharing around the transport dollars. So we don't get things like this. But we do get things like this. Make it easy to cross the road. This is Vancouver's newest installation from just a month ago in the gay district. This is that our city should all be like this, so that it's really nice big barrier, incentive to walk. You can have a street with the white dinner table right down the middle. You can close the street and all. You're celebrating our legs and our pedestrian culture. And when we're walking, we're going to say hi. And first we're going to, if we've ever met before, there's a law of nature that what's your name, by the way?
Dalton.
Dalton. Hi, Dalton.
Hi.
Now, whenever I see Dalton again, we're going to say hi. If I walk past him, he's going to think, what a schmuck. He didn't greet me.
Oh, you could be blind.
Well, we don't do that in cars very often. Walking builds relationship. It builds human relationship, right? So this is the city of Seoul in South Korea, where they took an abandoned old dirty creek, which then was a 4-lane highway on 2 levels. Then they tore the highway down and restored the creek, and it's now a gorgeous walkway right through the center of the city, used by people to get to work, for lunchtime, for everything under the sun. I was there last fall. It's just beautiful. And then getting the kids used to walking. Mommy, drive me to school in the SUV, please. Right? Get them back on their feet. So, quick show of hands. Is it possible? Yes, no, or maybe. How many think, yes, we could get 5% of our trips to walking? Pretty good show. How many think maybe? Anyone think? Two maybes. Anyone think, no, this can't be done? Can't be done, you think, right? Okay. By the way, this is premised on by the year 2030. This is not tomorrow morning. This needs time for these transitions, right?
Are you saying no or yes or maybe to the possibility of
yes.
this happening?
Yes.
Or to the likelihood?
Very good. This came up last night. There's possibility and there's probability.
Mm-hmm.
Possibility is a room of empty people. Probability is a room of activists who can make it happen. Or else the possibility is a room of non-activists. When we get engaged, then the probability increases. And there's a law of physics I could probably invent that goes from possibility to probability. But there are no technical hurdles. It's possible if we put the work in to make our cities pedestrian friendly, get council to vote on the things, get the money approved, get our friends voted into council, all that sort of stuff, get the planning and the engineers to do it. That's what turns possible into probable into actual. Right?
You're asking possible.
All these questions are possible, yes. So there's no inherent barriers, apart from human will.
By 2030.
By 2030, yes. So that's a 5% shift. We're down to 95%. then could we get a 15% shift of our trips to cycling? And now we're going to look at more innovations. So in Holland, 40% of all trips are done by bicycle. And notice something. No bicycle helmets anywhere, because it is so safe. They're not competing with cars. And they're not rushing, they're not wearing spandex, they're not investing $100 in, look at me, I'm a smart cyclist. They're just regular folks on regular sit-up and beg bicycles, but 40% of all of them. Safe bike lanes and safe routes. Come on in, there's a chair with an elbow on it right there. Good bicycle parking, cycling education in schools. In Holland, they make it a principle that no kid leaves school without being able to ride a bicycle. We run cycling education classes in Victoria, and we had a case recently of a 47-year-old woman who flew to Victoria from Vermont to learn to ride a bicycle because she was embarrassed to be seen learning to ride a bicycle by her friends. She hadn't been on one before, so she came to Victoria where her friends wouldn't see her. So all kids should be, no school graduation without passing the line on a bicycle. That's the kind of principle, right? This is Vancouver with a decent cycling crosswalk. This is, look at the barrier there with the green grasses growing. This is San Francisco, more decent bicycle barriers. This is London with a good double barrier there. City bike sharing, so wherever this is Washington DC, wherever you want to bike, you just it's there. Put in $1 and you can go where you want with it. Electric bicycles. So you come to anyone who's ridden an electric bicycle. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I saw by that sign. Tell us what it means to ride an electric bike.
Oh, I just tested somebody's and it was just amazing.
Yeah. You come. What happens is you're pedaling along. It's not a lazy. You're pedaling along on the flat. You come to a hill and you go click, and you suddenly break all the laws of gravity. You sail up the hill as if it's flat, and you've got to experience it to know what it feels like. And you can go to any bike shop. Most of them sell electric bikes, right? Here in Kamloops.
Is it expensive?
North.
Any particular bike shop you know that's good?
North Shore.
North.
Kamloops.
Okay, and just ask to try an electric bike, and they'll happily let you borrow one, and go and take it to where there's a hill and experience that for yourself, because eliminating hills means most of the barrier for cycling. Electric bicycles coming in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Folding electric bike with high heels. This is Volkswagen made this electric bike. Electric scooters. There's electric motorbikes around. Electric tricycles. For those of us who are getting on, we balance. Hey, this is going to be great, right? Fancy electric tricycles. That's actually got 3 wheels. And fun cycling culture. So it's normal for kids to sort of go to sports events and a thing like that, which are local chaps who could actually make. Who could get some engineering people to, not even engineers, some good, make it. The whole family out cycling. Good bicycle parking, and the night bike. On the roads, if you know where to get it right now, with full LED lighting inside the frame. So, so it makes it pretty fun, right?
Where's that?
Somewhere at night. I don't know. I haven't a clue. I don't know, right? But I'm almost certain it's going to be in Europe. Probably Holland or Denmark. That's where the innovation is happening, right? So could we get 15% of our trips out of cars and into bicycles? Is it possible? Hands up, yes. Okay. Hands up, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And hands up, no, that ain't possible. So no one's saying it's not totally impossible. Okay. If we assume that it's possible, then we're down to 80% of the old demand. Next step, 15% of our trips to buses and light rapid transit. That's how much street space they take up if they all drove. So by taking the bus, they're gifting us the lack of all that congestion. In Hasselt, Belgium, they had a town centre so congested with traffic, they were going to build a new bypass. Multi-million-dollar project. And someone said, well, let's try putting the same money or much less money into free public transit to get people out of their cars. They got a 13-fold increase in ridership. That's 1,300% increase. And the town became one of the top 10 shopping destinations in Belgium because suddenly the cars, it no longer was congested anymore. It was pleasant to shop in it. So there's you get your lateral brain thinking going about this kind of thing.
That could probably be done in Kamloops.
There you go, you see. And it's paid for on city taxes. Everyone's paying, and it benefits everyone because now your town centre is no longer congested. We were driving down the street just below Victoria and coming into town, and suddenly everything ground to a complete and utter halt. Like nothing was moving anywhere. We don't know why. Yeah, roadworks was it? Okay. And electronic bus timetables, so you know when the next bus is coming. They're now in some stops in Vancouver. They're all over Europe. Not in Kamloops yet, I don't think. No, they're coming. Then you know when the bus is coming. Plus decent bus stops. Have fun with bus stops. Why not? That's just one in Taiwan, but you can be very creative with bus stops. In Stockholm, they got buses running on biogas from sewage treatment works. In Sweden, they got a fast-charging electric bus. Here's the fast charger up on the roof. It'll travel 18 hours a day. The cost, 1 or 2 euros, call it $2 to $3 for every 10 kilometers. Like, it doesn't hardly a line item on the bus company's budget because the electricity is so low cost compared to oil. This is an online electric vehicle in South Korea charging up in the roadway. It's an experimental thing they set up so that as the bus travels over a certain piece of road, it gets its electric charge. And here's the technology for the whole thing. So the South Koreans are moving ahead with this. This is a Japanese plan for a future electric bus. So that the companies are designing ahead. So is it possible that if we see these innovations in transit, that we invest in transit, we have it regular, that we could get 15% of our trips over to transit? Hands up for yes. That's pretty good. Hands up for maybe. 1, 2, and hands up for no, it can't be done.
It can't be done, not in Kamloops.
Not in Kamloops, not even in 20 years.
No,
If you're a councillor.
there's our council, just talk to him. We'll talk to him after.
Damn it.
But the councils get thrown out every 3 years. You get to elect a new bunch.
Yeah, he knows.
Oh, all right. Anyway,
But he's going to fight for us.
we can also, in other cities, if you want, you can do light rapid transit. This is Portland. This is Mulholland in France. Mulhouse, rather. And of course, high-speed train. And there's not going to be a high-speed train in Kamloops, but other parts of the world, with green electricity, 0 climate impact. So that actually gets our oil down to 65%. Next step, teleworking. Working from home. Can we get a 5% fewer trips by 5% of us not going to work but working from home? The woman's perspective and the man's perspective. And you probably can't read these. So this is, can you see this? Is this tiny at the back? How my boss thinks I work? How my clients think I work? How my friends think I work? How my colleagues think I work? What my girlfriend expects? And how I really work. There are many variations of teleworking, right? And then this is the Cisco Systems teleworking. This is 5 people in Kamloops and 4 in Singapore in one meeting in real time.
Someone's really tired of that picture. No, time change.
Forget it. Forget it. Yeah, that's right. This is a 7 in the morning and 7 in the evening meeting. This costs $500,000. But if Kamloops had one studio set up like that, which anyone can use, and you're paying half of what you would have spent on the air trip towards the mortgage pay down on it, you're going to pay for this thing. Because all the time we spend, all the energy we spend flying, all the money, all the time wasted in airports, not getting decent work done, just faffing around, compared to, a meeting with facial quality, all that sort of good stuff. Is it possible that we could get 5% of our trips shifted to teleworking? Hands up for yes. Good number. How much no? Any no's at all? How about maybes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybes. Okay. Next step, so that's down to 60%. 5% rift to ride sharing, like, getting a ride with your neighbor or someone as they go to work. This is a standard rideshare thing. That's Denman Island's rideshare scheme on the island. This is what you do today. You go to Kijiji, you go to Craigslist, you've got to find a place on a website, and normally I'll see 2 or 3 people from Kamloops going to Victoria, something like that, or going to Vancouver. Terribly, terribly small numbers. This is an advanced website called Zimride, which is, getting established in America. So latest ride, Los Angeles to San Diego, $20, San Francisco to Los Angeles, $60, New York to so you pay the driver, and it's very quick to arrange. And then this is more advanced. This is real-time ride sharing, which as you're driving down the road, someone can be on a cell phone and say, anyone going into New York or going into Kamloops, and on your hands-free cell phone on your super smart dash, you'll get a buzz saying, there's a ride 2 blocks over going your way. Because if you log into this and say where you're going, you're willing to take a ride by logging into it and sharing with people and making new friends and then getting married and all that stuff, right? So I said, and then getting married and all that stuff. There's a chair here, which you can take up to the back. There's 2 chairs there as well.
Very unobtrusive entrance.
Very unobtrusive, yes, right. So, what this needs is that if you get to work that way, you need a guaranteed emergency ride home. If you've got a call from home, your kid is sick, you've got to get home, you need to have that built into your work plan, which is happening with progressive companies. You need cash out parking. If you're not using that parking space, which the company set aside for you, you can actually get paid for not using it. And you have a rewards book. Everyone who's not using a regular vehicle gets a local currency which they can spend on bicycle tune-ups, going to the delicatessen, going to the farmer's market, stuff like that, as an incentive to persuade people not to come by regular car. So every regular car has got to be parked somewhere, and a regular parkade is costing a city $13,000 per vehicle to build. Yeah.
More than that.
More, I think it's gone up from that, more than that, right? Yeah. You did one recently, right? You tried to.
No, we're trying it. I think the number was 23. I think.
$23,000 for each car not doing this stuff, paid for by the taxpayers. So can we get a 5% shift to ride sharing? Hands up for yes, it's possible. Oh, much more reluctant here. Hands up for maybe. Mostly maybes. And hands up for no, I'm not going to do that. It's never happening.
It's the same thing again. It's not going to happen in Kamloops.
People don't want to.
Is it possible?
You're not going to get a
It's
ride?
possible, yeah.
You're not going to get a ride with your newly met friend in the same car?
Yeah.
You don't want to ride with him?
I give you a ride.
Hey, I got a ride. Okay. Anyway, let's moving on down the slope. The next step is 5% shift to car sharing. Now, I founded the car share co-op in Victoria about 15 years ago. We now have 650 members who share 23 vehicles. They pay $400 share, which they get back when they leave it, and they pay a $10 or $12 a month membership fee. Then you just book the car anywhere up to half an hour in advance or more, and you take the car wherever you want it. And you have a car share co-op here in Kamloops?
Not yet.
They got one in
People
Kelowna.
are starting to work on
They got one in Kelowna. It took me about 9 months with a group of 4 or 5 of us to get this going, right? And the credit union loaned us the money to buy the first car.